Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. We have some good and bad news to talk about today, so let's just start with the good stuff. Russia's offensive by Vuhledar has been pretty much collapsing. In their initial attacks, they managed to push into the countryside on the east of Vuhledar and to some areas west of the main settlement itself. If I throw up the Google map, you can see some more of the story. There are these countryside buildings on the outskirts, and there's two little small ravines on the outside. Russia managed to push up to the first network and to the outskirts in the countryside area. However, Ukraine managed to do a big counterattack, and they pushed them back to the black line right here, completely pushing them out of the suburbs, and mostly leaving them back in this gray zone between Pavlivka and Vuhledar. Russia was having trouble because they were under fire from Ukrainians atop the hill right here, and Ukraine had some pretty fortified positions in here, so they weren't able to take over all of them, and now they're back to basically where they started in the offensive. So now we can move on to Bakhmut, which is not looking all that good. Right now, Russia is pushing towards Ivanivske. The main fights are taking place around this... Hang on, get out of here. The main fights are going on around this, like, residential area right here. Whoever is able to control this is going to be able to flank the sector of Ivanivske and gain control of one of the main roads into Bakhmut. Right now, Ukraine is repelling all the assaults in this area, so I think we're good there. The main problem is Russia has fire control over the TO 504 road into Bakhmut. This isn't a major problem now because of the 00506 area that goes through Khromove and into Bakhmut from the back. The main problem is if Russia does take over the countryside on the outside, they will have fire control over this road, and they'll have basically full fire control over Bakhmut. The main one they were using was the MO3 road that went down to the north of Bakhmut, but then the Vuhledar breakthrough happened and they had to switch their approach. Now, this kind of ties in with the most recent development, which is Russia, or Wagner, capturing Vuhledar. This is really big because now Russia has control of a settlement west of the Bakhmutovka River. This is going to be a problem because now all of the pressure is left on Paraskovivka. Russia is going to be trying to assault this city for, like, everything that it has. Krasnohora is sort of like a shield to Paraskovivka, because if Russia is able to take over Paraskovivka, they will have ground control of pretty much every supply road into Bakhmut. Even if Russia gets full control of Paraskovivka and supply routes in, there's still two paths Ukraine can take for supply. The first one is this one that diverges from that road that goes through around Dubo-Vasilivka and down through Yahidne into Bakhmut. This one should be pretty safe unless Russia advances this way to cut it off. Then the absolute most redundant road that can go into Bakhmut is this one. It comes down from Slovyansk, it goes through Chasiv Yar, sort of diverge from the one that Russia would gain control over if they took Ivanivske. And it's unlikely that if Russia does take Ivanivske that they'd be able to push up the hills and through the river and stuff. There is a dirt road, it's not paved, that goes along a couple of fields and has shelter from tree belts and goes in through the back of Bakhmut. It's probably not the most ideal one that they could take, but it's an option. And the one by Paraskovivka, by Yahidne, it's under cover of tree belts and railways, so even if Russia has control of Paraskovivka to the north, they can't just get fire control like this because there's stuff blocking it. The only way that they'd gain fire control over that one is if they push up to the intersection, but right now, that's not entirely, we don't really have to worry about that right now because Ivanivske hasn't been taken and Paraskovivka hasn't been taken. So I think the main fights are going to be centered around this little pocket right here. I don't think Russia's going to want to or try to advance past Vuhledar going this way, because they would have to go uphill and then attack a settlement that's completely unimportant and then just go up another hill. That's just not currently in their interest right now. Even if Russia takes over Paraskovivka and Ukraine uses the redundant roads, I think that's when they're going to start to go for Zalynivske and try to just outflank Ukraine in that area. In reporting from Ukraine's video, he said that Ukraine should retreat back to the Bakhmutovka River because that would shorten the front line, and it gives Russia less vectors of attack and just makes it harder because they're going to have to go across a river, and it makes it so they have access to the better fortifications inside the central part of Bakhmut itself, and I agree with him there. I think that would sort of throw Russia's game off. So we'll see what happens in the coming days and everything. I think worst case scenario, Bakhmut has to be abandoned in order to prevent some sort of major breakthrough, and Ukraine just retreats to the Donetsk Canal and along a couple settlements by Siversk. I think this is the absolute worst case scenario by the end of February. I don't think it's going to get that bad, and that will definitely take way longer than like it takes to just draw a line. Something about Russia taking over Vuhledar is that it's the only settlement across the river that they control, so they are vulnerable from multi-sided attacks from the north, from Tokarivka, from Zaliniske, and if they do lose that, they're going to lose a lot of troops because they'd have to cross back over the river really quick. So we'll see. If Russia's able to act fast, they might be able to take over Tokarivka. But if they aren't able to act fast, they may lose Vuhledar. Overall, the situation isn't as bad as it seems, but it is pretty critical. Thank you to my channel members Gene Helfrich, Steve Grun, Robert Jenkins, Richard Quadri, Butler-esque, Focus 100, David Appel, Dalo Mathatas, Phil Martin, Evie Fong, Gaz B, Javette Witter, Russell Whiskey, Stephen Benz, Evan Shin, Mr. Walkman, Rye Jones, Chaspex, Smile Daydream, and a special thanks to my third tier members Ashley C137, Joe Sauer, Maxim Zavashinsky, Joel Rando, PG, Jane Dungu, Mike Q, JG Bashlow, Matthew Barnes, and Jacob Munch. See you guys later.